have today in our post-match interview from the Sydney Forum the man whose name is synonymous with the Fortescue Metals Group, AndrewForrest. Welcome. Where's the Australian iron picture going? We've got a dozen smaller players, got the merger between Rio and BHP going ahead. That's all big news. Do you guys ever think you might take over a smaller company to widen the range of product, or do you see them consolidating? Or what's the big? I mean, you're a great visionary. You must have some pretty big opinions on all of that.
Look, as it varies from day to day, of course, in the run-up to something like the BHP Rio Tinto iron ore merger. I think the odds are that it will go ahead. And in terms of the juniors, there may well be paper consolidation amongst them. I think that would be a good thing, because if they increase their critical mass, they're more of an ability then for us to be able to help with port and rail facilities.
Now, didn't you have an area in New Zealand, a magnetite iron project that you're pursuing in your own right? I mean, are you interested in other sources of non-Pilbara iron?
We are. We have a massive source of sand iron in New Zealand.
And that's already being used to make steel?
That's already being used to make steel. Not from our deposits yet, but we have a change of government in New Zealand. They seem to be very actively interested in an environmentally friendly way of really getting the mining industry going and really getting their economy pumping along. And they missed the last boom largely. They're determined not to miss the next one.
Now, you've had a couple of arguments with BHP and Rio over the years, but on rail access particularly. But the comment was made. There would be strong anti-monopolisation provisions being put in right now if it wasn't for you. Has Fortescue enabled this amazing and historic merger of iron interest between BHP and Rio in the Pilbara?
I think FMG has acted as an enabler, because they've been able to tell the European community there is a major competitor right there in the Pilbara. They've been able to tell really most of the major steel groups in Asia, look, FMG is a serious competitor. It's rapidly growing. It's defied its critics, and therefore you should not think for a moment that if we merge, there's not going to be a rigorous competition. Fortescue's proved that there will be. So I think that's been a very useful argument to them behind closed doors. Certainly an argument which has been repeated back to me on a number of occasions.
Oh, really? Okay. Sorry. And of course, the ongoing thing over rail access, you think that they're going to change the laws now? And I mean, you've had a string of victories there. And is this cheating?
No, look, I don't think they will change the law. I think that they will try, and the Emerson announcement and the subsequent media it received is systematic of the last throes of organisations when they try and defeat, a true and just cause. When you can't do anything else, you try and change the umpire.
A sense of confidence there. You're also, of course, you've got a great perspective on the nickel business, and we've seen some stunning events unfolding. Of course, you're non-executive chairman of Poseidon as well. Are you guys in the hunt for, or firstly, how did you feel when you heard the news that BHP was closing Ravensthorpe? And is Poseidon a suitor for that asset?
Look, I certainly won't comment on Poseidon's strategy, but secondly, I was very surprised that they closed Ravensthorpe. At the time, there was a lot of talk how they're taking the best of existing technology and improving it. I feel saddened for BHP shareholders and for the Ravensthorpe community that they did, but equally confidently I believe that someone will buy that operation. It'll be hard yards for them. It won't be as easy as it looks by any means, but provided they persevere, it will be one of Australia's great mineral assets.
Now, you've heard from the questions in there, there's a lot of people admire your courage. I mean, where does it come from? You get these ideas, you go after them with all your heart, and there's obviously a huge amount of growth in Australia to come from new things yet. What would your message be to leaders like yourself, who've, some of them, every company was small once? What's your advice to them, and what do you think really makes the difference? I mean, what is it? What's the magic that everyone's missing, or would like to have?
Look, I don't think people are missing it. I can say to Fortescue shareholders or potential investors, the miracle of Fortescue's, not behind it. The miracle of Fortescue is in front of it. I think it's been great what we've achieved, but we've only achieved a platform. I think the evolution you'll see in front of Fortescue, which is the most exciting, is now in front of it. And if you have a look at the evolutions of the major companies around the world, the growth which they took once they got into operation of huge assets was quite astounding, provided they have the resource base and the market to back those two things up. Now, we've clearly got that. So I'd say, look, the miracle of Fortescue is in front of it. And secondly, in terms of, overall leadership, I don't have any secrets at all, nor I think courage greater than anyone else. I'd say be very open about your mistakes, because you're going to make plenty. Be as transparent as possible. Stand up to them as soon as you do. Everyone actually respects that. It becomes more of a positive than a negative. And show within that environment absolute determination. I mean, a catch cry of Fortescue's never, ever, ever give up. And that is riddled throughout the organisation. That's why we innovate so heavily, because when we run into a roadblock, we have to work out a way around it, because we're not going to let it stop us. And that's why you've got innovation right throughout the company. Wherever you look, you'll see something innovative about what we're doing. And that isn't because we had the best resource or the best capital or the best support or anything like that. It's because the culture of the company is never ever give up.
Well, you've certainly had the uptake on these new technology ideas. Those trains look like the smoothest thing. You've got the continuous miner. I mean, that was a German machine, correct?
German machine.
I mean, they must have been blown away that you so voraciously picked up that clear opportunity and took it. I mean, you've had several different, most people would cringe at those sort of risks in trying new things, and you've got, what, a half a dozen of them all joined together, and it all works. So
it all works. And I think that's the most important part. It's not really a risk once you closely analyse it. I think there's a mistake in Australia that because something hasn't been done, it's a risk. I don't look at that, and nor do my colleagues look at risk like that. If it hasn't been done before in Australia, that's a serious opportunity. Let's work out first why it hasn't been done and why it can be done within our own application. And then an innovation stops being a risk, starts becoming an opportunity. And that's how we've looked at, say, the automated braking system on the trains, or the surface miners, or the exploration technique, or anything like that.
Well, looking into the future, you obviously love what you do. Jump out of bed in the morning to rush down to the office, I guess. Is it like that every day, or is it?
No, look, I have all the question marks I've got to handle every day. One of my colleagues said, Andrew, in the 6 years I've worked for you, I've never seen you down. Well, that's just because I haven't shown him right. Once you're with your colleagues, you have to show true leadership, enthusiasm and optimism. When things do get tough, they really need you to show that optimism and at least give an idea as to how we're going to get through it. They'll come up with better ideas if you do. And look, I've loved my career in mining. I'll never leave it. But I have if you like, a social side of my life which I found really exciting, and we've given a lot of capital to. I must say I feel quite drawn towards that. So if I do anything at all which grows me from FMG, it'll be that social side.
And you've been, on personal growth, you must be enjoying riding where you are. The Anaconda story was a hard one, and you took that and you've moved right onto this, and so you're going to stay with it. Can you see is there some other major project out of there nagging away at you, asking to be done?
Look, I think there absolutely is, and it's inside Fortescue. That is a huge growth. Solomon itself will easily double the size of Fortescue. The Chichester is only half complete, really. That resource inventory, we do want to build it to 20 billion tonnes. So it's just then, a legacy for generations of Australians yet to come. Look, outside of Fortescue, I'm not considering anything professionally. I do enjoy that social side, though, very much.
Well, you've been very generous with your time, and I'd just like to wrap up by saying that we really appreciate you coming all the way over to the east.
Yeah, no, pleasure.
You're obviously as much loved here as you are over there, and
thank you very much.
Thanks very much for joining us.
They're very kind words. Thank you.